The United Nations Commission on International Trade Law embraced this model law on e-commerce. Based on the e-commerce model, they are given this model for e-commerce transactions over there, that in the year 1996, the General Assembly of an UN endorsed this model law as the backbone of the cyber laws of different countries. Soon, India became the 12th country to legitimize these cyber regulations. So, the India is the 12th country to implement this particular laws, for the cyber transactions over there. So, post the initial draft created by the E-Commerce Act led by the Ministry of Commerce in 1998, the revised Information Technology Bill was passed in May 2000. So initially, when the laws has been made in the year 1998 itself, then the bill was passed in the year of 2000 May month. Then finally, it has come under the control with the inception of Information Technology Act back in October 2000. So it has started executing, implementing in the year 2000. That is October month 2000 year, it has been implemented. This act strictly traced each filing activity or transactions on the internet. So whatever transactions you are making using the internet, it has been covering. It has given the law has been made to which covers the entire thing, whatever transactions you are making using the internet or a cyberspace or world wide web. So www, whatever we are using, so the law is covered with all the transactions which are made using internet or a cyberspace and the world wide web. Each minuscule action as well as its reaction in the global cyberspace imposed severe legal implications and penalties angle. So whatever they have designed the laws, they, it has covered the penalty as well as whatever the legal actions has been taken for that particular breaking the law. So it has covered the entire thing, the each minuscule actions as well as its reaction in the global cyberspace imposed severe legal implications and penalty angles. The act swiftly amended the traditionally set of Indian Penal Code. That means the whatever the act it has been made, it has covered the previously designed laws, that IPC, whatever we can say, that IPC, Indian Penal Code 1860, then the act for bankers, that is books, bankers books evidence act, that is 1891, the Indian Evidence Act 1872, and the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. So the laws has been designed in such a way that it has covered these earlier designed laws, whatever they designed in the 1860 or 1891 or 1834 or 1872, like that, whatever the IPC or the bankers rules or the Indian Evidence Act or the Reserve Bank of India RBI has been designed these rules. The cyber laws included all these acts within that. These amendments aimed to tone up all electronic transactions or communications, bringing them under the radar of granting strict legal recognition. So each and every transaction will be recorded in some server over there. If they are accessing illegal things, easily they can be tracked. So it is going to include the legal recognition. It has the particular commands or the transaction will be recognized easily. One significant step towards this was accepting digital signatures as the legal authentication. So whatever transactions you are making, if you are including digital signatures to that particular document, it will be validated. Unless and until a digital signature is given, the particular document will not be authenticated. So they recently they have introduced this digital signature over there. The one significant step towards this was accepting digital signatures as legal authentication. So if you want to send any mails to the government sectors or any organizations or any other financial institution over there, then you can add your digital signature so that they will be feel that it is a authenticated document. this had a far broader ambitious covering other technical driven authentication forms like biometrics or other some other way. That means a biometric is what, whatever the identification, a person identification is made through a particular machine over there by touching a particular screen, or the visibility, a vision will be taking place, or the handheld, the thumb has will be taken place as a biometrics over there. Like that they are using for authentication purpose. So digital signature is also used for this purpose as a document authentication. So digital document will be validated using the digital signatures. So further, the popularity of electronic fund transfer, that is EFT, and electronic data storage attested to the need and success of the futuristic vision behind this IT Act. So again, they have included the electronic fund transfer, that is EFT, or the electronic data storage attested to the need and success of the futuristic vision. So the data can be stored in the electronic format, either in the hard disk or a CD, or the DVDs we can use. So in the electronic format, the data should be stored, so that whatever the data is sending to any other institution or any other firm, that along with the digital signature, it will be validated over there. So this has been included in the IT Act also. So there are five predominant laws to cover when it comes to cyber security. So the major things are, there are five predominant laws to cover when it comes to the cyber security. The Information Technology Act 2000. So in the year 2000, whatever they have made the laws, it has given a five predominant laws. The Indian cyber laws are governed by the Information Technology Act, went down back in 2000. So the Indian government has designed these laws. The principal impetus of this act is to offer a reliable legal inclusiveness to the e-commerce. That means a confidence should be there. Whoever is performing the actions, or can you hear me? Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Any disturbance in between?
No, no, sir.
Okay. So the Indian cyber laws are governed by the Information Technology Act. That is, the laws has been observed, and they are given the this particular thing as a Indian Information Technology Act, penned down back in 2000. So 2000 onwards, it has been executed, and ITA is observing all these activities. The principal impetus of this act is to offer reliable legal inclusiveness to e-commerce. So major thing, whatever the transactions we are making, because nowadays we are not going to any shop, or the like, persons who are visiting to the shop are very rare. The online, they are observing the different properties or of that particular product. Then what is the cost, they can compare with the other companies product. So is there any offers for that particular thing? Is there any concession or the rebate over there? Anything offers, if you are using a debit card or a credit card, any cashback offers is there? So many things we can observe in this particular e-commerce section when we are purchasing through the cyberspace over there. So when you are visiting a shop, these facilities will not be there. You can't compare whatever the products are there within that shop. You need to purchase within that, or you can compare only the available products over there. But through the internet, when you are taking or you are performing the transaction over there, you can observe multiple or different categories of this particular thing. What are the main features? What are the cost comparison between the different companies? Like that, if you want to purchase a mobile, so different companies is manufacturing the mobile phones. What are their features? What is the cost? How it is going to make us have flexibility over there? Like that, you can compare the things, and then you can place the order. While placing the order, you have what are the payment sections you are taking, whether you are using credit card or a debit card or cash on delivery if you are making, or which address you want to deliver this particular product. All the necessary information you are going to provide to that particular site once the order has been finalized. The principal impetus of this act is offer reliable legal inclusiveness to e-commerce. So major thing they are concentrating on e-commerce over there. So whatever data you are providing in it should be kept confidential. See, it should not be revealed to other persons. Then facilitating registration of real-time records with the government. So again, they is given the facility to register the real-time records with the government. Whatever the letters you are sending to the government, it has to be available each and every time, and it should be a legal things. So there are laws has been made like that to facilitate registration of the real time records with the government. But with the cyber attackers getting sneakers topped by the human tendency to misuse a technology, a series of amendments has been followed. So ITA, the Information Technology Act, enacted by the Parliament of India, highlights the grievous punishments and penalties. Whatever the punishments has been made, they have made different laws. Few laws we are going to observe in the next section. What are the punishments we have for which rule, what type of punishments and what type of penalties are there, like that we are going, they have designed safeguarding the e-governance, e-banking and e-commerce sector. So to these punishment and penalties are made for to safeguard the e-governance, that government sector, then e-banking, that is the financial sections over there, and e-commerce sectors. So buying and selling the goods on the internet. So like that we are going to cover the entire acts within these sectors only. So now the scope of ITA has been enhanced to encompass all the latest communication devices. So it is not pertaining to any computers or mobile phones or any other electronic devices. So it has covered the entire thing. All the communication devices can be used for performing these operations. The IT Act is a salient one, guiding the entire Indian legislation to govern the cyber crimes rigorously. So the act has a silent one. It has given so many features which guides to how to make use of those transactions over there, how to execute these things, how to make a data a confidentiality, because whenever we are performing the operations over there, we feel that the data is safe, no one is using our data. When we are entering the password, that password should not be leaked to others, like that we are feeling. So the ITA has designed in such a way that no data will be revealed to others, it will be kept confidentiality. So the Indian acts has been made in such a way that it has included in the e-governance, a government sectors, e-banking, that is a financial structure for transferring the amount from one place to another place, or one account to another account, or a merchant account we can say. Then e-commerce sectors, like that it has been covered over there. Then what are the different laws has been made? Only few things we are going to observe, how the laws has been designed. Is it audible, friends? Is it audible, friends?
Yes, sir.
Also, different sections we have, they have made it as few sections I have listed here. Let's see what type of laws they have made. So section 66 is given for using the passwords of another person. So if you are accessing illegal things like illegal legal passwords from other person without their permission, if they are hacking the passwords, then it comes under section 66. If a person fraudulently uses the password or a digital signatures or other unique identification of another person. So he or she can be face imprisonment up to 3 years or a fine of 1 lakh rupees. So under section 66, they have designed whoever is accessing a password, or if a person is fraudulently uses the password, if anything has been entered as a password, it has been hacked by other persons, or they may using a digital signatures or other unique identification. Any other unique identification is used for executing different transactions over there of any other person. So another person, if they are accessing illegally, then he has to face the imprisonment up to 3 years. So and along with the and 1 lakh rupees as a fine, or it sometimes both are allowed in this particular thing. So under section 66, that it is related to using the passwords or a digital signature, or the unique identification of another person. So next section is section 66D, cheating using computer resource. If a person cheats someone using a computer resource or a communication device, or he or she could face imprisonment up to 3 years and or 1 lakh rupees as a fine over there. So if they are cheating using a computer resource may be anything using that particular resources. If anyone cheats using a computer resource or a communication device like a mobile phone size and then like that, if you are using for cheating purpose, that time it may leads to imprisonment up to 3 years or fine up to 1 lakh rupees. In the 66 section itself, it has given ED like that. So in the section 66 E, publishing private images of others. So when you are publishing a private images, like if a person captures or a transmits or a publishes images of a person's private parts, or any illegal parts of that particular thing, then without her consent or knowledge, then the person he has to be imprisonment up to 3 years and fine up to 2 lakh rupees. So in this section, publishing a private images of a person has been covered with the 3 years imprisonment along with the 2 lakh rupees. Under the section 66F, acts of cyber terrorism. So this act includes a cyber terrorism. A person can face a life imprisonment or denies an unauthorized persons to access the computer resource, or attempts to penetrate or access the computer resource without authorization, with an aim to threaten the unity, integrity, security, or sovereignty of their nation. This is non-bailable offense. So if such activities has been taken, like spreading the terrorism or yeah, accessing the computer resources without authorization, with an aim of threatening the unity. So if they want to break the unity or the integrity over there, if they are taking security spreading the unsecuredness or the sovereignty of the nation, if it is leading to that particular thing, it is non-bailable offense. So it has given life imprisonment. The punishment is a life imprisonment will be taken place. Any doubts in this, friends? Any
No,
doubts?
sir. No, no, sir.
So section 66 is covers the password protection. Then section 66D covers cheating the using the computer resources or a communication device. Then section 66E covers the law. This law covers publishing private images of another person. Then section 66F covers the acts of cyber terrorism, which will be accessing a resource without authorization, with an aim to threaten the unity, integrity, security, and sovereignty of the nation. This is a non-bailable offense over there. So, in section 65, tampering with computer source document. So section 65 covers tampering with the computer source document. So person who is intentionally conceals, destroys, or alters any computer source code, such as programs, computer commands, or design and layout. So law covers the entire thing, like intentionally, if they want to destroy the document, if they want to change the document, if they want to change the source code of a program, if they want to change the source code of a software, like that, if the illegal things has been taken place, such as programs can be changed, computer commands can be changed, or design and layout of the program can be changed, like that, if they are performing the illegal activities, when it is required to be maintained by law, commits an offense and can be punished with 3 years imprisonment or fine of 2 lakhs, or sometimes it may cover in the both the things. So this section 65 covers the tampering with the computer source document. So what whenever the digital documents are present in this, so you are tampering those computer documents. So you are going to either the attackers may destroy the document, they can change the document without the authorization, then they can change the layout of that. Sometimes they are sending their own programs, or changing or removing the some programs, or some coding part from that particular program, or computer commands can be changed. So like that, if they are performing illegal activities, then it leads to 3 years of imprisonment and fine up to 2 lakh rupees, or sometimes if the in severe cases, it may apply both the things in the 3 years imprisonment as well as 2 lakhs rupees as a fine also. So next section is section 43, applicable to people who damage the computer system without permission from the owner. So they are going to attack the particular system only. They are going to change, or they want to destroy the entire thing. Whatever the data is stored in that particular computer, they want to destroy the entire thing. So the owner can fully claim compensation for the entire damage in such cases. So the applicable to people who damage the computer system without permission from the owner. So either they are sending the mails to destroy the system. If they are sending any viruses through that, they can destroy the system. So it is applicable to people who damages the computer system without the permission of the owner. So they are going to destroy the entire system. The owner can fully claim compensation for the entire damage in such cases. So section 43 law gives the details as they can claim compensation for the entire damage. So section 66 applicable in case a person is found dishonestly or fraudulently committing any act referred to in section 43. The imprisonment terms in such instances can mount up to 3 years or fine up to 5 lakh rupees. So the particular section covers in case a person is found dishonestly or fraudulently committing any act in referred to in section 43. So in a 43 section, what it has been covered, the person who is going to damage the entire computer, entire system, he wants to destroy. So such type of activities in 66, it has covered with along with the 43 things that leads to fine up to 5 lakh rupees and 3 years of imprisonment. In section 66b, incorporates the punishments for fraudulently receiving or stolen communication devices or a computer, which confirms a probable 3 years imprisonment. So any devices are stolen, any devices are theft, that the 66b covers, this law covers the incorporates the punishments for fraudulently receiving stolen communication devices. So if they are taking any communication devices that is fraudulently receiving a stolen communication devices, if you are purchasing that thing or devices or a computer, which confirms a probable 3 years of imprisonment. So that can be punishable up to 3 years of imprisonment. This term can also be topped by 1 lakh fine, depending on the sovereignty, the severity of the particular case. So in which case, which problem it has been executed, like that the severity has been taken place, and then the punishment has will be allotted. In the section 66C, this section scrutinizes the identified thefts related to imposters, digital signatures, hacking passwords, or other distinctive identification features. If proven guilty, imprisonment up to 3 years might also be backed by 1 lakh as a fine over there. So 66C covers the entire thing, the overall thing, like a imposter, the digital signatures, hacking passwords, or other distinctive identification features. If proven guilty, the imprisonment of 3 years might also be backed by 1 lakh as a fine. So it has covered the overall, depending on the severity, the different sections can be applied. But the 66C covers the entire section: hacking of passwords, or distinctive of identification features, or imposter of digital signatures. In section 66D, this section was inserted on demand, focusing on punishing the cheaters doing impersonate using the computer resources. So this 66D law has inserted on demand. This section was inserted on demand, focusing on punishing the cheaters. That how the cheaters can be punished, what type of punishment has to be taken place for doing that, such cheaters over there. So cheaters can be punished using this 66D law, where the imprisonate using the computer resources. They are going to hack using the computer resources over there. Like that, the laws has been made. Now, in this slide, section 67 has the law has been made publishing child porn or predating children online. So, if a person captures, publishes, or transmits images of a child in a sexually explicit act, or induces anyone under the age of 18 into a sexual act, then a person can face imprisonment up to 7 years, or fine up to 10 lakhs, or sometimes it may leads to both the things. So a person, if he is doing such type of activities over there, he can be imprisonment up to 7 years. Then if fine is applied up to 10 lakhs, and in a severe cases, both can be applied to this under the section 67. Under the 69, government power to block the websites. So government has a full power to block such sites which are harmful to a people or the nation over there. If the government feels it is necessary in the interest of sovereignty and the integrity of India, it can intercept, monitor, or decrypt any information generated, or transmitted, or received, or stored in any computer resources. So government has all the power to hold the such type of activities, or generated, or the transmitted, or received, or stored in a computer source. The power is subjected to compliance of procedure under section 69A. The central government can also block any information from public access. So any other illegal sites, or which are harmful to a public, that can be blocked using the government itself. So under the 69 and 69A, a central government as well as a state government can block these particular sites. Then section 43A, a data protection at corporate level. So this law includes within the corporate level security over there. So data protection at corporate level. If a corporate is negligent in implementing reasonable security practices which causes wrongful loss or gain to any person, such body corporates shall be liable to pay damages to the affection person. So when anything has been lost, it has to give the compensation for the entire data or the damages caused by the particular thing. So he has to pay the penalty for that, for whatever the damages he has made. So the 43A includes data protection at a corporate level. So many laws are there. Only few things we have discussed here in this particular thing. The Indian Penal Code, the IPC 1980, identifies thefts and associated cyber frauds are embodied in the Indian Penal Code. So IPC, whatever we are using IPC, in 1980, they identify thefts and associated cyber frauds. Then in 1860 invoked along with the Information Technology Act, that also included in the 2000 years laws. The primary relevant sections of the IPC covers cyber frauds, then forgery. Section 464 gives a forgery over there. Then forgery is pre-planned for cheating. The if anything is pre-planned, but for the forgery over there, that comes under the 468, section 468. Then false documentation, section 465. Then presenting a forged document as a genuine, and that comes under section 471. Then reputation damage, section 469. Then Companies Act of 2013. These laws has been revised in the year 2013. The corporate stakeholders refers to the Companies Act of 2013 as the legal obligation necessary for the refinement of daily operations. Prince, is there any doubts in the laws, whatever I have listed here? Student, is there any
Oh, no,
doubts?
sir. No.
You have any questions regarding this?
No, sir.
You have any course material along with you that contains cyber laws and security?
No, sir.
Not yet.
No, sir.
You have any doubts regarding this? Whatever the laws has been designed, how the laws has been designed, what are the characteristics of those law, what are the major things it has been included? Let's go through this. If you have any doubts, please ask. Is it audible?
Yes,
Fri-
sir.
Friends, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just rejoin the last session. It is going to end now. So you just rejoin those things once again.